Hello and welcome to Creative Sparkle. My name's Holly and today we're doing an art journal prompt list, so grab your art supplies and let's get crafting. Hello and thank you for joining me today. So working in a normal book instead of a recycled book today. So I'm just prepping those pages, and the first prompt is going to be priming the page with white gesso. So I'm using a white gesso, just got a bit of water on my page. I'm just popping that white gesso on the background. Obviously, if you are working in a recycled book, then you'll probably need more than one layer, but I'm just popping one layer down, and I'll make sure that tape is down the middle as well. I don't think I included that bit, but it is there to keep those pages together. So once that's done, prompt number 2 is to apply modelling paste with 2 different stencils. So these are the stencils I have chosen from 2 different packs. The first stencil I'm going to apply is with crackle effect, I guess you would say. If you want to use a different kind of modelling paste to what I have done, you can certainly do that. You don't need to use white modelling paste if you don't want to. You can use something completely different. So I'm just getting that crackler on the page, and then I'll move on to the circles that I've chosen to add as well. I'm not sure why I chose these 2, but I thought they went together quite well. So once you're happy with your stencils, we move on to the next prompt and making sure that those stencils get cleaned in between. So the next prompt is prompt number 3, which is to stick down napkin or tissue paper and press to cover the paste added. So obviously the paste is dry once I started, and the tissue paper I've chosen to use is a dress pattern that I got cheap from a charity shop, and I'm positive I've used it in a video before, but this is the purpose of it that I've chosen to use it for. So I'm ruining the pattern, I know, I'm sorry, but that's what I would use it for, so I'm happy with it. So I'm just getting that stuck down with Mod Podge, and then I'm going to rub over the top of it so that that texture will come through in any other steps that go on top of it. You won't be able to see the texture at the moment, but once we get some colour down, we'll make sure that we can get that visible. So you don't have to stick the tissue paper down like I have. You can use napkin or kitchen roll or whatever you want to add that texture. Just make sure it's pressed through so we can still see that stenciling. And you could do the full page in one rather than tear up pieces like I have done. I'm mostly tearing up the pieces because of the pattern that's on there. So I'm going to get that down with Mod Podge, and then I do decide as well to use some clear gesso just to go over the top of it so that I've got a porous surface to work on. If you wanted to put the Mod Podge over the top, or whatever glue you're using to put that down over the top, that would work as well. So once your page is primed and prepped, we'll move on to prompt number 4, which is to use a water-based or thin medium to add colour to your layout. So I have chosen to use an acrylic ink, and I'm using a brown colour, and I'm just going to drip it on the page using a paintbrush to blend it out onto the page. You obviously can use something that's a watered down acrylic, for example, or just something that is ideal for using to bring that tissue paper pattern out so you can still see that behind. So the brown I've chosen is quite dark, but once it's dry you will still see those lines from my tissue paper underneath. So I decided that I wasn't happy with, I know you can see the stenciling, but I decided that I wanted to go over it a bit more, so I used a black Distress Oxide ink in Black Soot just to go over those stenciled areas so you can see them better. So once I am happy with that step, we'll move on to prompt number 5, which is to add stamping across the background. So the stamp that I've chosen the stamp set and I'm going to use archival ink in jet black. So this stamp set is called Musicality, and I'm just going to choose several stamps from the stamp set and stamp those over the background in the black archival ink. The pictures at the end of the video will show you a closer up images of the background so you can see those images better, and I realise the lighting isn't helping with seeing those images in the background, but they are visible. So once you're happy with your stamping over the background, don't feel like you have to use the same colours I have, just get those images down and see how it works. So prompt number 6 is to add lace or lace themed images across the background, so you could use washi or doily for example, and I've chosen this that I have in my stash from years and years ago. It is a lace glove from a fancy dress something or other, and I've chosen to cut it up because I only seem to have one glove and it has some kind of paint on the end of it anyway. So I decided to chop those up and just get those, because you can see that there are flower patterns on there, so I'm cutting those out of that. And rather than sticking them down on the page in the white, I'm going to use Rusty Hinge Distress Ink spray and get that coloured in. So now the flowers are all coloured and dry. I'm going to use Mod Podge just to get those stuck down. And I didn't put Mod Podge over the top because I didn't want to smear the colour everywhere because it is not permanent. So I just put it underneath and make sure they're set in the right place. But obviously you don't have to use lace, you can just add whatever you have available to you onto the page that looks good with your theme. So prompt number 7 is to choose an outline or silhouette for a focal image and using it on a separate sheet. So just a quick step, I chose to use this image that I have from my scan and cut, and I just cut it out with white card so we can add design to it later. And I haven't stuck it down yet because the prompt didn't say so. So prompt number 8 is to decorate the focal image with washi tape and then add it to the page. So I am adding the washi tape onto my little figure here, and I'm just going to apply this brown in stripes over it and then trim around the edges. And I'm also going to use a second washi tape just to go over that beam that's holding up the basque image. So the idea for the focal image is just to have that outline or the silhouette and to have that shape ready to use with washi tape. If it's an image that you've chosen that is already coloured, for example, I know it does say silhouette, but if you want to do that and then add washi tape just in parts of it, you can do that. Or you can add washi tape as a frame around your focal image if that's what you want to do. Don't feel like you have to follow precisely what I've done. Just do what you have available to you and what you think works best for your page. So now that I'm happy with that, I'm going to stick it down on my page again with Mod Podge, and I'm going to add a bit of shading to it as well, just so that it fits in with the background a bit more, because it just feels a bit too stark white for me. And maybe I should have added colour before I put the washi tape on, but you know, hindsight. So number 9 is to add splashes in more than one colour. So I've chosen to go with the Rusty Hinge spray mixed with white acrylic paint. And when I add that, I am happy with the colour because I think it matches the focal image well. However, the second colour that I go for, I added a darker colour, which I think is brick, something brick. I'm sorry that I don't have the name readily available, but it matches those flowers a bit better. So once you're happy with the splashes, the final prompt is number 10, which is add words or a title to finish the page. So I'm going back to that same stamp set that I used before, and I just did a light stamp of that just to get the outline, the image there, just so that I know what shape I wanted to cut it out of. And added the same washi tape that I used for my focal image because I wanted the page to be more cohesive. So once I've got that cut out and the washi tape stuck on, I'm going to pop it onto my stamping platform and then use the archival ink in black again that I used for the background and get that stuck back onto itself. So the image is back onto itself rather, not stuck back onto itself. You know what I mean. So I'm going to get that stamped back onto itself so that the image is then nicely framed, and cut away that excess washi tape. So now that that's done, I'll get that stuck down on the page, and I decided to add my title in the centre of this, which is going to say Express. And I am going to use the pen that I'm using, which is just a black Sharpie pen, to add an outline to that focal image as well, just so it brings everything together. So as that was the final step, that page is now complete. If you did like it, please do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for next time. If you do decide to try out the prompts list, please do tag me on Instagram with the hashtag #SparklePrompts. I would love to see your creation, even if it's just inspired by the prompts. And I'll see you next time, where we will turn your creative spark into creative sparkle. Thanks. Bye.